Hey guys, I want to do a video today about exposures in relation to OCD and working on exposures for recovery and clarify a couple of things. But before I go on, please let us know what you think. And if you want to come in for our coaching services, you can click the link in the description below that will take you to our WhatsApp chat and you can ask us anything that you want. I also kind of look a little strange because it's super hot and humid on my end, even though I have the air conditioner on, but I'm still kind of like sweating right now. And I also had a heat stroke 2 days ago, so I feel like I have some circles after that. Like, but I'm fine now, but like, I don't know. But anyway, I'm just like looking at myself right now on this camera and just like thinking what's going on. But but hey, I accept. So, what I want to really talk about was not every single thought, not every single scary thought that you have needs an exposure. And that's very important to remember because a lot of people sometimes get that misconception as well that every single thought will need like a corresponding exposure for it. Unfortunately, a lot of people out there as well are this is what they are recommending their the people that come in for help as well. Hey, do let's do exposures for the new thought that you've had. That becomes a big problem because number one, it leads down to exposures becoming compulsive, right? Number two, it becomes that fear cycle as well because it's like, oh, I've had a new thought. I want to like let me just quickly do exposures for this so that this theme does not latch. Like a health OCD sufferer, for instance, may start having thoughts about contamination OCD or well, no, that's not a good example because those two can go hand in hand. So let's say a health OCD sufferer suddenly starts having thoughts about harm OCD, right? Or an existential OCD sufferer suddenly might start thinking about contamination OCD, right? So then the way to go about it is not then immediately be like, okay, let me just like do exposures for this theme and then I'll be done. Because one of the main fears for a lot of people, especially when fear is really exacerbated, is a fear of your teams latching to new thoughts or new fears, right? Or that this classic thing of like, oh, I don't want to hear about that theme because what if that triggers me and then I'm not able to recover from that, right? So then it keeps you in that cycle of constantly trying to dodge and just like escape and things like that. So like if you jump to doing exposures when a new thought comes up, you are then fueling that fear that I don't want a new theme. I don't want a new theme. Let's just like nip it in the bud right now, right? So this has happened to me many times, by the way, across my recovery journey as well. When my main things were contamination OCD, relationship OCD, and also real event OCD as well, right? For many years. But I've had I've had patches where I was having like sensory motor OCD. I think for a good 2 weeks, like I was like really thinking about my breathing and trying to breathe correctly. I had patches with health OCD for like a good 2 3 weeks as well. Sometimes in between, having like a little health problem or something happen physically in my body and thinking, huh, is something wrong with me health wise? So there were various things that various other themes where it was slightly latching on slightly here and there, but nothing really got a hold over me that way. And I didn't really have to jump to immediate recovery work for those new thoughts that were popping up. Um, I mean because my brain was also pretty much focused on like the other themes that were completely debilitating for me. So those new thoughts that were latching on, I mean they were there, but then like kind of like leaving them there kind of like help with just like not give it that platform as well to be like, okay, we need to sit and dissect everything about this new thing now, right? Plus also it helped me get comfortable with the fact as well that okay, maybe I can experience something new as well without going to an immediate fix for it, right? And that was one of my biggest compulsions in general as well because I was emotionally speaking, because I was going through, like, I was experiencing emotional contamination as well. So I was constantly trying to fix my emotions, fix my thoughts, fixing mental contamination, trying to cleanse my thoughts, trying to cleanse my emotions, all that kind of stuff, right? So I was in constant fix mode. I was in an inner like 24/7 cycle of analyzing my emotions all the time as well, because I want to make sure that I knew what was going on emotionally, and so that I can have a grip over it and handle over it. And if I have a grip and handle over it and I know what it is, then I can also solve it. And then I can constantly try to like find emotional solutions in a way, right? So I was already doing that. So if I had started to also be like, oh, I'm having breathing things, okay, like let me like get down to it. Oh, I'm having this new other thing, let me just like quickly. I would have like perpetuated that same cycle, right? So when you start getting a new thought completely out of nowhere, right? Or you start getting a new kind of like a new theme out of nowhere, don't immediately jump to work on it, right? A lot of times when people are coming in for one-to-one calls as well, and they're like, oh, by the way, this week I never had relationship OCD, but like suddenly I'm thinking about relationship OCD now, and you know, I'm just like having fears around my boyfriend and things like that. And I often say I'm like, okay, let's not look into that right now. Maybe you don't need to into that right now. Let's leave it for maybe another couple of weeks or so. And that's also not like a strict deadline or anything. That's just like a rough thing of like, okay, let's leave it for a couple of weeks and see how we are at the end of 2 weeks. And sometimes like a new theme can latch. I'm not saying that a new theme can never latch ever again, but we also have to first give ourselves that chance of like, maybe it also won't latch either. A lot of times this can happen with a new theme. If you don't jump to immediately solve it, it can kind of like fade away on its own as well, and the mind refocuses back to whatever the main theme is. Sometimes that happens, right? So but we have to at least as like a mental exercise for ourselves, and as an acceptance exercise for ourselves, it's really important to try and practice that a little bit, so that we're not teaching ourselves to go to an immediate solution when something new comes up, and we're not building a very fearful relationship with fear itself, right? That any fear has to be completely snuffed out. So there's not a lot of other detail over here. And of course, like if a new theme really latches and it lingers on for like a significant period of time, and again, you have to see it case by case as well. How much it's latching? Are people falling into big compulsions around it? Like how much is it really affecting them then? So it has to be seen by case. But like if it becomes like a significant problem and it like kind of like lingers for some time, then it's like, okay, let's start looking into that and see what it is. But like I don't like when people, because sometimes people are like, okay, let's break down the beliefs for this new thing that has just started coming up yesterday. No, you don't need to do that. For example, I'm scared of cockroaches. Like I don't think there's anyone who is. Most people I know are kind of afraid of them, especially flying ones. Excuse me, no, I can't do that. Nuh-uh. That's off the table. Nope. So, um, so I don't need to, I don't know, go and sit near like a sewage place or something and be like, okay, let's just like, you know, sit amongst cockroaches or something like that. Right? If I was, let's say, I don't know, going around my house and being like, oh, are there cracks in the walls where they're coming from? Maybe I need to just like completely like stop all like pathways for them. Maybe I need to look over here. Oh, like getting fumigation like every month, or like if I was going down that route, then for sure like I'm being compulsive about it, and I need to like cut those compulsions and like do whatever. But like I don't need to like tackle that, because it's also not something that's really affecting my life in that way. Like I'm not like changing my entire life based off of my fear of cockroaches, right? That's how OCD is usually, where a fear latches on and you change your entire life because of that one fear, right? So I mean, we can take that example as well, and we can see that we don't need to tackle like literally every single thought, and literally every single thought that comes up. We don't need to do exposures for every single thought that comes up, right? So like so yeah, just I just wanted to bring that up, and I just wanted to highlight that, because I think unfortunately a lot of people do go down that route of like wanting to do exposures for every single thought and every single fear that they have. Let's see where we go with that. If you have any questions about this, please pop them in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer them. Take care. Bye.